Hi guys, Mrs. A here. We are looking at factoring complex trinomials. So that is a polynomial of degree 2 that has a leading coefficient other than 1, and it can't be common factored. So when we look at this one, we see that we have a polynomial, this trinomial in standard form, that is our ax squared plus bx plus c form, and this coefficient of 2 can't be factored out of all three terms. So when that happens, we have to use a process for factoring called decomposition. In order to use decomposition, we're actually going to take this middle term and break it up into two separate terms. In order to figure out what two numbers to break it up into, we're going to look at the coefficients a, b, and c. So we need to find two numbers that give us a product of a times c. So in this case, a times c would be 2 times negative 6, which is a product of negative 12. And then we need to find the same two numbers to satisfy a sum of b, so that coefficient of x, and in this case it is 1. So the 2 times negative 6 gives us the product, and the coefficient b gives us the sum. So we need two numbers that satisfy these two conditions. So think about your multiplication facts. The only two numbers that are going to satisfy this are going to be the number 4 and the number negative 3. Now the order of these two numbers doesn't matter. It will give you the same result in the end. So now to factor this, I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to break up this term, this middle term, into these two numbers. So the 1x will be broken up into 4x minus 3x. So it'll look like this: 2x squared plus 4x minus 3x minus 6. So notice these two terms, if we add them together, we get the original middle term back. So we haven't actually changed the equation at all. So making use of this now, we're going to do factoring by grouping. So look at the first two terms only and take out a common factor. The common factor for 2x squared plus 4x is going to be 2x. And that leaves us with x plus 2. Now look at the second two terms, and we're going to take out a common factor with those two terms. In this case, it's going to be a negative 3. And when we take out negative 3, we're left with x plus 2. So look at what we have here. In the brackets, we have two binomials, and they match. They need to match in order for this factoring by decomposition to work. So if that hasn't happened, you've done something wrong. Now let's treat that as a common factor and pull it out to the front of the equation. So if we look at this whole term and we divide by the x plus 2, we're left with 2x. And if we look at this term and we divide by the x plus 2, we're left with minus 3. Now this is our final expression in factored form. So here we could continue to find the zeros. It would be negative 2 and positive 3 over 2, and whatever else we need to do with this factored form of this trinomial. Thanks for watching. Mrs. A Loves Math.